Hello, this is TelecomTV. We are in the City of London at the Great Telco Debate 2019, and I'm talking with Nick Green, Marketing Director of 3. Nick, welcome. Let's begin with this. Is cloud native a must-do, or would be nice to do for CSPs as the transition towards becoming a digital service provider accelerates?
So from my perspective, it's a must-do. We're already behind all of the services that operate on our networks, and if we don't adopt this technology, become ready just for today, let alone tomorrow, then customers will start to notice. They'll migrate to the companies that work with them best, that offer better services, and cloud native is a must-have requirement if you're going to offer a service that you want to scale and develop on. It's no longer good enough to say, I have a server here and that's where all the services live. You've got to take them to your customer base.
Okay, moving on to use cases then, Nick, if we could. What use cases do you believe will generate near-term revenue opportunities for CSPs at the edge, wherever that edge may be, and why?
So I think at the moment there have been some very interesting points mentioned in today's presentation about the things that can actually help people and what was made money on before. CTO of BT mentioned, the lack of foresight in actually being able to charge for video streaming services, for example. I think the way game streaming and AI services and various elements of those industries, that's where edge computing and cloud technology are actually going to bring service differential to customers, but also an ability for companies to find a way of making money. We can't give away services for free forever, or to give them away at the lowest possible cost. And by putting services where they need to be, not necessarily where you want them to be, it offers a way of you actually being able to do tailored, differential, customized pricing that actually allow you to take those applications and put them closer to the people that need them.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, as we all know, but there must be many within the industry who are kicking themselves home every evening as they head off for not realising that there was no way latterly they could charge for streaming content.
Well, again, it's the demand had always been there. I can remember paying an absolute fortune for the ugliest streaming box and thinking I had the best technology for my 100 megabyte, streaming service that I could fill with 2 TV shows. The demand was always there. What the streaming platforms did was tap into that demand, and in an effort to get customers, we all let them do it. What we need to make sure is that, one, customers have that. They're not going to give it up. So we've got to keep providing that, and we need to make sure that the new services we work with those partners to, one, find ways of monetizing, but two, is actually enable those services to work even better. And if those services work even better, then customers will want to come to those services and get them where they get the best service.
Is the industry at large getting closer to monetization models for that?
I think that if they're not getting closer to those, then we've all got a problem, and my job's going to be a pretty short one. And if we're not actually thinking about, again, I need to think about today's services, but I need to work out, well, if I can even get half an hour ahead of a trend, that is going to help me, because these development cycles take years. And if we don't actually start those processes soon, then again, we'll have fallen so far behind. By the time you catch up, the new thing has come along and you've missed that opportunity.
This is one of those sort of self-evident sort of questions, I think, in many ways. And let's start by saying the technologies are given, otherwise what we're talking about wouldn't be happening anyway. If you had to pick one of these choices, what would you regard as being the key driver for change in the market? So we have a given technology. Is it the business model? Is it investment? Is it culture, or is it a skill set?
Culture. You can buy subscription services, you can lease laptops, you can have virtualized offices, you could transform any business you want in an afternoon if you wanted to. However, if your people aren't ready to go along with that and aren't ready to, to use it, if they don't want to win, then it doesn't really matter what the senior management says or what the business plan says. If your culture isn't ready to accept all of those things, then it doesn't matter. You're not going to be successful. Culture is always the most important thing.
But changing an organisation when people are embedded literally in what they've been doing for a long time has proven difficult throughout history.
Yes, always the biggest challenge. Always the biggest challenge.
How is it with 3? Because 3 is 3 and began as it did with 3G.
Yes.
So you're off to a flying start. How's that going? Is your culture easy to adapt?
Like with all organisations, you have your resistance fighters, you have your agents of change, you have people with big visions and people that, they want to be left alone and punch their card at 9 and 5 and, thank you very much, I'm quite happy to do what I do and I don't really want to do more than that. For any company to be successful, it's got to manage all of the family. And it's got to make sure that when it decides to, say, pick a fight with huge cultural change, it's got the right people there to lead that and actually demonstrate that you can change things for the better. Not all change is for the worse, and that things like agile working versus waterfall development and all of those things, they can actually deliver great results, if not brilliant results, rather than, upsetting how things used to be done and, we shouldn't change it because this is how we've always done it. I think you need to pick teams to fight that fight and demonstrate the benefits of these things, because you can't always take everyone along. When you're talking about thousands of employees, it's much easier when you all fit in one room and you can just bounce around from WeWork to WeWork or Rebus office to Rebus office. And when you're talking thousands of people, you've got to pick the right teams to lead that charge and show where and how the culture of a business can change.
And that's hard.
It's very hard. I think that's, that'll be my hardest job while I'm working at 3 is wanting to, maintain the positive attitude of change and culture shift while I'm there.
Nick, moving on, should CSPs regard the hyperscalers as competitors or potential future business partners?
This has already come out in today's debate. It's both. You can't not work with these companies, but also if there's a way that you can deliver it to your customers in a way that's beneficial to you, then of course you could do this. But it's, again, it's much like the proliferation of video streaming companies. Is all of a sudden, your £5 a month video streaming that you were happy to pay has suddenly become 45 quid, and it's just as expensive as Sky, because you've got to get one from Netflix, Amazon, Disney, HBO, whoever it might be. You're suddenly paying everybody again. So in these areas, you're always a competitor and a partner, because you need to work with the services that work for your company, and where you can save money or deliver a better service, you've got to develop your own.
Do you think CSP vendor business models need to adapt to accelerate telco transformation?
I think if we stand still, the whole business at the moment is suffering from legislation and regulation, and we've all got margin crunch. Every one of us. This is not an individual company issue. We have to adapt and change our business models, and find new ways of working with partners and companies to deliver better services that at the very least we can charge the same for, and if not, come up with new ways of charging more for. So if we don't change, we are all on a path to becoming, the minor part of the puzzle, not the major piece of the puzzle. And ideally, that's where you want to be. You don't want to be, in a situation where you end up with something like, mobile least cost routing. I'm old enough to remember the slight pause when I picked up a phone and dialed a number and it did least cost routing.
Yes, I remember it too.
Yeah, there's no reason if CSPs don't do this, then why would customers not just do least cost or best data routing for their mobile product? It doesn't matter who you buy it from then.
True. Okay. Can we focus a bit more on 3 as a CSP? What work has 3 done with cloud native to date?
So we're moving our entire core to a cloud-based telco system. That'll allow us to scale our business in a way that is hugely cost effective and bring real customer benefit to customers. We can, instead of having to route traffic to a central data point or 2 central data points, we can have 20 virtualized calls across the UK, or even create virtual private networks for customers that can go back to their own call. We do that already with some of our partners on 4G. There's no reason why we won't be doing this with virtualized 5G calls in the future. And it allows us to scale a business in a world that is going to go from wanting to use an average of 9 gigabytes a month. 5G, its ability to just devour data and HD streams and ultra HD streams, we'd be looking at 100, 200, 300 gigabytes before anyone in our network team is happy about it. And cloud is what allows us to do that and allows us to build that capacity, speed and consistency across our entire network.
What are the main challenges that you as a telco face with the adoption of cloud native?
Part of it is actually customers won't care because they're already using cloud native services and don't realize it. Yeah. So, I won't be able to we won't be able to feature a marketing campaign that features any of this. What we're hoping to do, however, is that customers feel that intangible benefit of what the service does for them. So 3 itself has always had a network perception problem. Cloud native allows us to get rid of that, to have a service that works with speed, consistency, reliability, so that you don't notice that your phone might not get a signal or doesn't work brilliantly at Waterloo Station while you're waiting for the train to leave, or any of those things that are bugbears with mobile service nowadays. They should all disappear. And in doing that, that helps change our network perception. And while I can't say well done cloud native for doing all of that, it's that enablement of the technology that will help us shift our customer perception and ideally take us from being, the smallest of the 4 mobile networks to the one at first with the best service, and then hopefully after that with the best of most customers.
I'm very interested to hear you say that there was a perception problem. There is a perception problem with 3. I mean, you were the first 3G provider in the UK. You launched as such. I always thought people's perception of the network was pretty good, and then you hit some hard times, and you're climbing out of that, and cloud native is helping. So
if you're a customer, we have the best NPS in the market, and you're generally very happy with our service. But there is a section of consumers that either have heard it from a friend or experienced it in the past when we were first starting out, and maybe our 3G coverage was being supported by some 2G coverage, and maybe we were, the market itself was a bit ambitious with what 3G was going to give us, and people have long memories about what they remember. Part of what we want to do with our services, and cloud native is helping us do this, is we didn't worry about being first. We wanted to be the best. And that's how you truly change customer understanding, is when you can get it in people's hands, or you can get it in a neighbour's hands, and the neighbour then tells, the street what it's like, or you tell your friends, at work, or, I've got this got this phone now and it works brilliantly. That's what's actually can help us and the cloud native core and the cloud applications that we'll be able to run across this will allow us to really start moving the dial in how people see our network and our service.
How confident are you that your suppliers, vendors, partners, etc. are up to speed with cloud native? Can they help you, and can you help them if they're not helping you?
So I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't have a level of confidence in what we're doing and what our partners are doing. I think in all of these relationships, it's up to both sides of it to push the other. When we see consumer demand, say in, for instance, gaming, or for fixed wireless access home broadband services, we need to push our partners to allow us to exploit those. We launched our 5G mobile, 5G home service in the summer, and that's allowing us to actually see what our customers are doing with it. 80% of the traffic is streaming video.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Somehow I'm not surprised, but...
You're not surprised, but also that's a really high number.
Sure
so
is.
Knowing this information, that then allows us to work with companies like Amazon to make sure that we have their content next to our call, so it only needs to do one trip in and out rather than going all the way around. Same with Netflix and all those partners. We need to work with those guys to ensure that we build the right services and we understand what the customers are doing to ensure that we can satisfy that need and deliver the correct level of service.
Coming into the city today on the tube and on the bus coming in, it was remarkable to see how many people, I mean hundreds of people, watching movies, watching football.
It's incredible.
On not 5G, but certainly 4G.
Watching The Irishman as, Martin Scorsese intended, on a tiny little phone, bouncing up and down on the bus.
Not really what it should be, but it's amazing people who do it. So with 5G, you're going to get that, but in ultra high definition, But I mean, it is amazing how it's taken up. And with 5G, the demand on the network and the demand on the bandwidth is going to be enormous.
Yes, and that's what we're planning for. Our network capacity and usage charts do look generally terrifying. You wouldn't want to ski down them. That's for sure. But that's what the demand is going to be, and we have to scale our business to be able to provide that level of demand to our customer base. And that's just what we know today. Like you were saying, looking at the bus, I couldn't have imagined 10 years ago that you'd be surrounded by people watching, Bake Off and Drag Race and The Irishman, everyone, but 10 years ago I was still reading the newspaper. I haven't picked up a metro for years now. What it's going to be like in the future is, again, we need to move past selling a connection. We need to actually come on to that promise of selling connectivity. So, I will have a headset that will overlay real-time information about the world around me in my glasses or my contact lens or the embedded little thing that go in my wrist and provides all that information. My mobile phone will just work with my tablet, that will work with my laptop, and again, they will all have chips in them. I won't care about whether I'm wireless or mobile or anything else. I'll have bought connectivity and I'll expect it to work wherever it is. Or if I haven't bought it, I'll be supplied it by the company I work for, because they want me to never not have a connection in the world, because that's what we all need to do. And the services that we consume and stream, things like Uber, there just wouldn't have been possible without 4G. Sure, you can do data connection over 3G and 2G sometimes, but this whole new economies have come out of an enabling technology, and we don't know yet where 5G is going to take us. We just need to make sure we figure out quickly enough what's happening so we can be a part of it and take advantage.
Fascinating stuff. Really fascinating. Nick Green, thank you very much.
Thank you.